It is Friday morning, and you're back at Wake Up Cricket, powered by Pavilion Picks. This is your host Praatibh. I've also got Megha alongside me. Unlike a lot of days where we have a bunch of IPL news, today we have IPL news, but there's also a lot happening in the world of cricket itself. So before we get into it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it.
And we had to get started with IPL news, and it is the match that happened yesterday night, RCB versus LSG. A game marked by repeated rain delays, eventually leading to a 38 over long fixture, resulted in the ending of an incredibly dry spell for the Lucknow Super Giants as they registered their third victory of the IPL 2026. On the back of a powerful 100 from Mitchell Marsh and a 10 ball 32 run blitz from Rishabh Pant, LSG set up 210 for RCB's muscular batting order to crack down. Despite losing their openers within 8 balls of their batting innings, RCB steadied their ship with runs from Padikkal and captain Patidar. Starting the 11th over at 104 for 2, RCB were firm favourites, but they lost 3 wickets in quick succession and could never fully recover. While every batter struck at 150 plus, it felt as though that's 34 of 25 eventually was an innings that could have been approached a bit differently in order for RCB to close out the chase.
Well, RCB fans, I don't know if it's time to panic yet. This was the discussion that I was seeing a lot online yesterday, where a lot of RCB fans, and considerably so, were a little worried about the state of affairs. Ever since Phil Salt has gone out of the batting lineup, suddenly it feels like the batting lineup is not clicking the way that it should have. But let's talk about the game for a moment, right? LSG taking on RCB. LSG is coming on the back of a gazillion losses, basically. And something that's always been spoken about is how LSG is extremely reliant on those overseas batters. They finally came good with Nicholas Puran. Of course, he got runs in the last game, got runs in this game as well. But Mitchell Marsh finally showing why there is so much trust in him, right? He's the kind of guy who, once he gets going, becomes a really muscular player. And him finally getting to that century, his second in the IPL as well, was very important. But something that might not be talked about as much is Rishabh Pant's 32 of 10, which ultimately made the difference because it was a rain-reduced fixture. It was just 19 overs, and and the way that Lucknow Super Giants were going, it felt like, and especially with the platform that they had, it felt like they should have got a lot more runs. If Pant had not come in and scored those 32 of 10, then they would have scored about 180 odd, and that would have been the difference. I feel like RCB could have easily chased that. In fact, even in the innings that RCB was batting in, it looked like it was smooth sailing despite losing Kohli and Bethel really early. It didn't look like there was a lot of alarm bells. Devdutt Padikkal as well as Patidar cemented the ship beautifully, had a good partnership as well. Patidar, as we know, got into his work, 61 of 31 odd deliveries. So they were still taking the attack. I think Padikkal was a tad slow to go about. And then even later on, when Tim David was batting, it looked like the game is definitely going to go in RCB's favor until that did not turn out to be the reality. Towards the end, it got a little close, and then Romario Shepherd could not close it out, which is unfortunate for RCB. But I don't think there's much to panic about. I think RCB just messed up with the ball in terms of the kinds of lines and lengths they bowled. Could have to do with the rain delays as well, but yeah, something for them to think about.
Well, there's much to think about as far as Bangladesh cricket is concerned, as domestic player among four charged in BCB's corruption probe. The BCB's integrity unit has charged four individuals, including a domestic cricketer, with breach of various provisions of the ICC's anti-corruption code. They've also handed Saminur Rahman, who was associated with Chattogram Royals in the 25-26 BPL, a lifetime ban for his involvement in betting-related activities, among other charges. In a press release on Thursday, BCB named cricketer Amit Majumdar and team managers Lablur Rahman and Rezwan Kadir Siddiqui, Kabir Siddiqui, in fact, as well as Nokhali Express co owner Tawheedul Haq. They are charged for alleged betting related activities, corruption approaches, failures to comply with demand notices issued under Article 4.3 of the ICC's Anti Corruption Code, concealment and deletion of relevant communications, and failures to cooperate with the designated anti corruption official. They will be serving a temporary ban starting on Thursday. The charged participants have been provisionally suspended and have 14 days from the receipt of the notices of charge to respond to the allegations, the BCB statement said. Alex Marshall, the Integrity Unit's independent chair, called the charges an important milestone towards protecting cricket in Bangladesh. Today marks an important milestone in the work to protect cricket in Bangladesh, Marshall said in a statement. Four individuals have been charged with various breaches of the Anti Corruption Code and provisionally suspended from today. The people charged have 14 days to respond. They can accept their charges and seek an agreed sanction or request a tribunal hearing.
Now, if you look at Bangladesh cricket over the last whatever period, and we've covered, in fact, so many of their articles that have come out related to the Bangladesh Cricket Board as well over the last couple of months, there has been a lot of turmoil. There's no two ways to look at that, and it feels like this is one of the reasons wherein there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of match fixing, and all of this. So it's nice to see the relevant parties crack down on all of this and realize that hey, this is what is happening and it's time we take action, because if not, then cricket basically goes to the dogs, and that's exactly what was happening with Bangladesh. Having said that, I do think this is good, and I think it's rightly pointed out in the article as well that they're happy that they've been able to identify these people and identify the malpractices that have been happening, because it augurs well for cricket just overall and also in Bangladesh, right? There has been a revamp of the board. There is going to be elections within about 30 odd days or lesser than that. You will have a new board that comes in, and you essentially want a clean slate, and at all levels you want to have a complete swipe of things, right? Which is exactly what this is. Like, you've already got rid of the corrupt officials and all of the people in power who were misusing it, and now you're also looking at what were the causations for all of that, what was the root cause. So I think they're doing the right thing. I do hope that whoever is involved does get found out and is eventually banned away from cricket. And for Bangladesh cricket, I think it's just good signs, because you have a complete cleansing, which means that you can come back much stronger, which just augurs well for the future.
Moving on, Bangladesh versus Pakistan test. Fast bowling riches in focus as Bangladesh and Pakistan switch to test mode. The series picks up from Bangladesh's finest red ball hour against arguably Pakistan's bleakest one. 2 years ago, the Bangladeshi team came to Pakistan with six away wins in their history and increased that tally by two in just 2 weeks. Pakistan had never lost a test to Bangladesh before that, but during the late summer 2024 in Rawalpindi, a page turned in their cricketing relations. This time around, the series takes place at an odd off kilter time. Neither side has played any cricket, or rather test cricket, in 6 months, with Bangladesh's last series a straightforward home wipeout of Ireland. Pakistan hosted South Africa in October, splitting the two tests down the middle. This is only the only red ball international cricket in Pakistan that Pakistan have played in 14 months. Pakistan have filled that gap, going all into the T20 cricket mode, preparing for the recent T20 World Cup before throwing themselves into a full PSL season. There will be just 4 days between the end of the PSL, where Babar Azam's Peshawar Zalmi lifted the trophy, and the first day in Mirpur. Bangladesh, meanwhile, have endured a more barren time. They refused to travel to India for the T20 World Cup, and that has meant their only international cricket all year was an ODI series against Pakistan and New Zealand's visit for a white ball series, that is ODIs and T20Is. Wins in all three means that they have a perfect record in international series in 2026, a record that Pakistan will hope to put to a sterner test than they managed 2 years ago. By the way, this is also the first test since the Ashes concluded.
Damn. That's how long it's been since we saw Test cricket. In fact, it's come to a point where I've become numb to the T20 cricket that's happening. I don't really care anymore, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it's exciting. And the reason I wanted to put this in is firstly, of course, Test cricket, but also the kind of form that both teams are in. I think it rightly points out how Bangladesh has been having a decent run. They've had the upper hand against Pakistan in the red ball format recently as well. And whereas for Pakistan, there's a lot to think about. For Bangladesh, it's a completely fresh start in a lot of respects. And at the same time, they have a really good squad in terms of the kind of mix of youth and experience. Now, in terms of the youth, there is, of course, the likes of Mehdi Hassan, Miraz, and all these guys. In fact, Mehdi Hassan would now fall into experienced players, but they've got some exciting fast bowlers that are coming through. Someone like Nahid Rana, who kind of has taken the world by storm in the last year or so, has been bowling quick spells, has been getting fifers across formats, has been doing well. Also bowled well against India in the Test series in 2024, to be fair. So he has some experience as well under his belt. So Bangladesh arguably are in a stronger position, at least if you look at their relative Test history and how they've performed in general. which will make it a lot more interesting against a side like Pakistan, who we know have all of the talent in the world. But it's just about, can they get things together? Can they get their machinery going? And it will be an exciting test series to watch.
Now, India to host Zimbabwe for maiden women's bilateral series. The India and Zimbabwe women's teams are all set to play an international fixture against each other for the very first time when Zimbabwe tour India for white ball fixtures this October. The tour comprises three T20Is and three ODIs and will be Zimbabwe's first visit to India. India are yet to tour Zimbabwe for bilateral fixtures. The three T20Is will be played in Raipur on October 16th, 18th, and 20th, and the ODIs are on October 23rd, 25th, and 28th in Baroda. The fixtures were announced by the BCCI on Wednesday, along with two home series for India A women's side against Australia in September and England A in December. Both those series comprise three T20Is, three T20s, in fact, three list A games, and one multi day fixture. India under 19 women's team will also host Sri Lanka under 19 in June and July for three T20s and three 50-over games, and England under 19 in November and December for five T20 fixtures. The Australia men's side will tour India for two multi day fixtures and three one days in September and October, while the Australia under 19 side will visit India for two multi day fixtures and three one days also in September and October.
That's a lot of games of cricket. Initially, when I read the article, I completely missed reading the men's paragraph. So that is a bit of a surprise to me and a bit of a tongue twister almost for the number of games that we're going to see, which once again highlights that BCCI is actually making efforts towards ensuring that there are more fixtures for the women's game. It's nice to see that Zimbabwe are coming over. It's not a side that we talk about much in the women's cricket setup, simply because of the fact that they're just not that present in women's cricket. So it's nice that this bilateral series will be happening and across formats as well. It augurs well, especially for Zimbabwe cricket, and it's probably a good chance for the Indian women to also possibly try some of their bench strength and look at the kind of talent pool there is. We know that a few players have come through the WPL recently. Someone like Anushka Sharma will possibly get more chances, especially because it will be happening after the T20 World Cup. So considerably after the T20 World Cup, to be fair. So it might also be the start of a new era for the Indian women's team in terms of who their captain might be. Harmanpreet Kaur is reaching the fag end of her career. So could be an exciting series. We could see a lot of different players coming through the ranks. And also the under 19 fixtures and just a lot of the A2s are really exciting to watch, because it just means that a lot of these players who we know will, at the highest, they're going to be playing something like a WPL in terms of the competition, the quality of cricket. Now you're aiding that. Now along with that WPL experience, you'll also give these players the chance to rub shoulders against some of the best players in the world in these A sides. Someone like Australia, someone like England, their A sides are going to be extremely good, which means that it is going to help our girls improve their quality of cricket as well. So keeping all that in mind, I think it's great. The multi-day fixtures are really important. This is also going to be the first ever test match that the women play at Lords, which is really good as well.
Interesting. Now, talking about the IPL finals, they have been moved. Ahmedabad, not Bangalore, to host IPL 2026 final. The venue for the IPL 2026 final has been shifted from Bangalore to Ahmedabad owing to certain requirements from the local association and authorities that were beyond the scope of BCCI's established guidelines and protocols. The venue has been shifted and reassigned, the BCCI said in a statement. While the final will be played at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad on May 31st, the HPCA Stadium in Dharmshala will host the qualifier 1 on May 26th, and the new International Cricket Stadium in New Chandigarh will stage the eliminator on May 27th and qualifier 2 on May 29th. Owing to certain operational and logistical considerations, the Tata IPL 2026 playoffs will be conducted across three venues this season. As a special case, the statement said. The Karnataka State Cricket Association put out a media release soon after the BCCI's announcement, stating that they were willing to host the games, but the BCCI decided on the venue without formal communication. Despite our preparedness and willingness to host the playoffs, KSCA statement said, we understand that the BCCI has taken a decision to allot these matches to other venues. While the specific reasons for the same have not been formally communicated to the KSCA, we fully respect the prerogative and decision making authority of the BCCI in this regard.
For the two people who might have been viewing and saw a stray hand enter the frame, that was Ashwin. So, hello Ashwin, how's it going? But on this piece of news, it is so frustrating, especially as someone who is from Bangalore and looking forward to having some kind of games, especially after what happened last year, which was extremely unfortunate. This just feels like proper politics at play. Like, there's no other way to put it. It's just a truckload of bullshit that Ahmedabad gets to host the final every single year. It makes absolutely no sense. Of course, from a revenue standpoint, you are going to argue that because of the fact that it is the largest stadium, you are going to be filling seats up, which means that you are going to be generating a little more revenue. But at that point, the amount or the differential of the revenue generated from a stadium like Narendra Modi versus some of the other stadiums, I don't think it's really going to impact or going to have so much of an impact that you have to keep having the final in the Narendra Modi Stadium. That's something to think about. And this has always been the case, right? Ever since I think it was the 2023 ODI World Cup final, which also happened at Ahmedabad. Uh, First of all, if I'm being honest, there's no cricket culture in that place in terms of that particular stadium. And just the fact that it's now become a thing about whoever has more money can eventually go and watch the fixture, because a lot of these tickets are more expensive, especially in something like the IPL or a World Cup, which means that you're already restricting the kind of people who can come and watch. And then it becomes a lot of those kind of people who come and watch the game who are just there for the clout or the fact that they've come to watch an IPL final and not really enjoy the game. So it's just really disappointing, and I hope someone actually looks into this at some point.
Now, this tweet and its multiple reincarnations keep coming up.
Well,
Let's bring that
meantime,
up.
Zinta's team catch drop kya? Says Salman Khan. Now, if you remember the OG tweet, it's Zinta's team won kya? That's what the tweet is. But of course, this is in relation to Punjab Kings and their horrible fielding. They have the worst catching efficiency in the tournament, something in the 60s in terms of percentage. Shashank Singh has been a big culprit. Yuzvendra Chahal has been the biggest sufferer. If I'm not wrong, I think Chahal at this point has had 8 drops against his name, and Shashank Singh has 1 catch and 7 drops,
Yeah.
if I'm not wrong. So something of that sort, which is insane to think about. It's not even like it's a diving catch on the boundary, or it's a tough or like a flat catch or something of that sort. It's absolute dollies, which really made me also want to understand what it is. Maybe it's something in the new Chandigarh stadium that, or maybe at this point it's just a confidence thing. I'm surprised that Ricky Ponting has not dropped Shashank Singh on the fact that he just can't catch the ball itself. Because Ricky Ponting, of course, will be very disappointed with the way the catching has been, but not just Shashank Singh as well, right? There's overall in the tournament also teams have just struggled to catch. We've at the halfway mark we'd already seen about 80 odd drop catches, which is more than 2 per match. Uh, and it's not like it's the toughest catches. Most of them are fairly straightforward sitters that some very well reputed players have also dropped. Someone like Virat Kohli has dropped, Rohit Sharma has dropped, a lot of these guys. Karun Nair had a stinker in the game versus Punjab Kings, and then Punjab Kings in the same game had dropped Delhi Capitals, KL Rahul on 16, and he went on to score 152. So there's a lot of that which is happening. I wonder if there is an explanation. I wonder if anyone's going to do a deep dive on if it has something to do with the conditions. But at some point, you have to realize that these players have to be a lot more professional in terms of their catching. You can't sort of give that as an excuse for dropping so many catches. And yeah, that's all there is to it. Zinta's team catch drop. Yeah. But that's possibly it from us today on Wake Up Cricket powered by Pavilion Picks. Now, I don't remember the fixture that is happening today, Megha. Do you know which game is happening today?
Well, yes, IPL games come thick and fast, and DC take on KKR.
Well, do you have any predictions for that fixture?
Well, predictions for DC versus KKR. You want a direct answer?
Yes.
Mm. Well, KKR probably having gathered some sort of momentum after stuttering non-stop in the initial 6, 7 games, 6 games,
Hmm.
right?
6 games, yeah.
Probably, yeah, KKR.
Awesome. So
How
you've
about
heard
you?
it from Megha. She's supporting KKR, which is why I think I'll support DC today. But I do think that KKR have a slight edge, especially with their spinners coming back into form. But that's it from us. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, and that's it from us. Peace.